door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Countdown to the 2025 Trash Panda season is on. Tickets are available for the full 2025 home schedule, including opening night on Friday, April 4th. But it doesn't end there. The Trash Panda season opens with 9 home games in 10 days, featuring theme nights, giveaways, fireworks, and more. This opening homestand has it all. For more information, check us out online at trashpandasbaseball.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There we go. We're back. We're live. And we are brand new. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome into the program on a, let's see here, what day are we? Thursday morning. Welcome in to the show. Getting you started bright and early on this Thursday. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed. Your forecast for today, your high is 84 degrees today. Currently 71 here in the Tennessee Valley. Big thanks to Talkin Heating and Air with that high today in 84. You may need to flip on the air. If you flip on the air today and it's not working, give them a call, 256-503-4490. That is our good friends over at Talkin Heating and Air. Their talent is waiting to work for you. So if you get out there today, you feel in that house a little toasty, give them a call, because you know what? They're live, they're local. When you call them, you might get Thomas, you might get Terry, and you might get Jeremy. You never know, but you're going to get somebody, and you're going to get somebody right here in Huntsville. Talkin Heating and Air, give them a call, 256-503-4490. We let off yesterday talking about the Atlanta Braves as they were...
You mean the worst team in baseball?
Yeah, they were trying last night, and they had it going on. They did. The Atlanta Braves had it going on until the bottom of the ninth.
Iglesias goes to work. First pitch swinging and a fly ball. Deep center field. Michael Harris back to the wall. Michael leaps. It is gone. And on his bobblehead night, Shohei Ohtani dishes the Braves a crushing blow. It's a walk-off home run and an 0-7 road trip for the Braves. And like I mentioned in the top of the ninth inning, they all had one thing on their mind going to the bottom of the ninth, and they just got to see it. And just like a Hollywood script, he hits it out of here on his bobblehead night to move the Dodgers to 8-0, and they become the first World Series champion in the history of the game to start the following season 8-0. And meanwhile, for the Braves, more heartbreak and an 0-7 road trip to begin the season.
Yep.
That call courtesy of the Braves Radio Network. And the Los Angeles Dodgers did everything last night to give that game to the Braves. 3 errors.
Braves led 5-0 early, had the bases loaded with nobody out in the middle of the game, managed to not score a run. At one point in time going into the game, I think they were 1 for 34 with runners in scoring position. I think they got 4 hits early to build that 5-0 lead. I had a lot of people texting me excited, and I said they'll lose 7-5. I got it close because they're the worst team in baseball right now. But like Bill Shank said, they built a new office building, so give it up for them. You got a new office building on the property there where for the Braves, but they absolutely suck right now.
This isn't Alex Anthopoulos' fault, is it? I mean, was he handcuffed by management? I mean, is this start Alex Anthopoulos?
I think it's both. I think Alex has done a good job, but he didn't do enough.
Right.
And then if the pencil pushers and pencil necks above him decided they didn't want to,
spend any money,
allocate more payroll, and not basically have a shortstop right now, in my opinion. At least they're still trying to decide that, because Orlando Archie has run his course. I mean, he's not very good at all. And then right now Austin Riley's not hitting. Well, I mean, really the whole team's not hitting. When you're 0-7, you suck. I mean, there's nobody doing anything. But I mean, like I said, and we all know their best player Acuna is not playing right now.
Yeah.
And then Sean Murphy's not playing right now. Their top catcher. So, but I mean, again, and then they have, Lopez is hurt as far as on the mound. They had to bring Bryce Elder up last night. And of course he did okay. Wasn't great, but he's just a middle of the road guy. They didn't do enough, I don't think, to add pitching. I think that's what they didn't do. They made the Sale trade last year, which worked out, gangbusters, but they didn't either via trade or free agency make kind of any impact with their pitching. And then the bullpen has just been horrendous so far. I mean, Rysell, he got off to a slow start last year, so we'll see if he, settles in. But you could just see it coming. The Braves should have been up, 8-9-1, 8-9-2.
Yeah.
And they just never did pull away completely from the Dodgers. And they Heimlicked it up last night. So they're 0-7, worst team in baseball.
There you go. That's how we get you cranked up on a Thursday morning. 256-576-4977. You can join us throughout the program this morning on your Thursday. The other big story, and if we're going to stay with it, we might as well go here. And we're going to stay with college basketball. Getting some money. Chris Beard, coveted by Texas A&M to become the new basketball coach for the Aggies. Instead, parlays that into a new contract with Ole Miss. Also going to get an increase in the NIL fund for the Rebels. His buyout, by the way, on April 12th would have dropped to $3.5 million. No, really worried about that now. He was making $5 million annually. That's going to be changed. He going to get paid, Chris Beard, to stay in Ole Miss as he spurns the Aggies to stay with the Rebels.
Wanted to go to Indiana. Indiana wasn't smart enough to hire him. We'll see if your boy DeVries ends up, Darian DeVries is the answer. But they did not hire Chris Beard. Beard had no interest of going to the Auburn of Texas, so he did not. Because certainly the majority of the state of Texas is hook 'em horns. I mean, we all know that,
right?
I mean,
right.
A&M tries to flex, and they have a lot of money, but Texas kind of rules the state over there, even though it's a huge state.
Well, no, Texas stole their baseball coach.
That's what I'm saying. Texas stole their baseball coach.
They've
Ohio
come
State
in,
stole their athletic director.
but Texas has come into the SEC in football and has already played for an SEC championship. Texas A&M still has yet to get to Atlanta.
Now, the spin has been that A&M was glad to see Buzz Williams go. Well, I guess if you want to be a top 4 seed
that's
in
how
the
you
NCAA
spin it.
tournament, and you go 3 straight years, and you've been in the top 20 all year, I guess it's time for him to go, huh? So, and then they swung for Chris Beard and they struck out. Now, I don't know who they're going to get going forward. Maybe they'll pull a rabbit out of the hat. Doesn't sound like it. Sounds like they're probably going to have to go the mid-major route, or God forbid, go to the NBA and get somebody Avery Johnson needs a job.
Look, Trev Alberts is the AD at Texas A&M.
Yeah,
think about his hires that he hired at Nebraska.
Yeah. Well, now he's been mentioned now, Fred Hoiberg.
He has,
Maybe you'll go throw Fred a lifeline.
Hoiberg hasn't he hasn't set the world on fire in Nebraska. No, he is not.
So I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I know, but I'm just saying that
Danny White did it. He threw Josh Heupel a lifeline when things looked like it was going south at UCF, and he's done well at Tennessee. So I don't know, but they swung for Chris Beard, didn't get him, and so now where do they restart? I mean, I think Buzz did a good job. I mean, he won. He went to the NCAA tournament 3 straight times, and he didn't get to the Sweet 16 this past year, but he came close. And
I don't think he was there long enough, Buzz Williams, at Texas A&M to become stale. I don't think he was there long enough.
Well,
that's what Texas A&M fans are saying. Oh, it became stale, and the program was going nowhere
because Buzz in his entire career, this will be his 4th. Power 4.
Right.
Well, one of them, his first one was not considered a Power 4, but a really good Big East job. And that was Marquette, who took over, when Tom Crean left, they let him become head coach, did a nice job for 5 years. Then he goes to Virginia Tech for 5 and now A&M for 6. So he has that, 5 to 6 year window, and then he moves on. So that's what they're going to do. They also said the same thing about Nick Saban. Nick Saban, he ain't going to stay at Alabama but 2 years, but 5 maximum. He never stays anywhere. He's never satisfied. He'll leave, and then Alabama will be back in the toilet. That's what's going to happen there to Alabama. They're going to be in the toilet. What they going to be? Whoops.
No, they did. He's going to go back to the NFL. The first time the NFL comes a call, and he's going to go back there.
Maryland, I'm just telling you, is a better job than Texas A&M in basketball. I know it's in the SEC, and the SEC has got a ton of money. So does the Big Ten. I'm just saying, you look historically at Maryland, the Final 4 trips, the national championship. It's a better job than Texas A&M in basketball.
Is Texas A&M's basketball job? Is it in the upper half of the SEC, or is it? Because look,
middle of the pack.
Because all of the money that Texas A&M can put at the program, and we all know what they've done in football.
The money. Well, then why didn't they just pay Buzz to stay?
That's my point. So if they've got all of this money, they've got all of these resources, they've got everything. I mean, look, football. They paid Jimbo $1 billion to come there. Baseball. Baseball's had success.
But baseball and football, A&M is a much better job than Maryland. But in basketball, it's not. That's just the way it is.
That's the point. And that's my question: is where does Texas A&M's job and the basketball
that's on the men's side and the women's side? Maryland basketball.
Where does it fall? Where does Texas A&M? Is it better than? I'm just trying to think.
It's not better than Ole Miss right now.
Is it better than Missouri?
No.
Is it better than Arkansas?
No.
Mississippi State.
I'd still take State. I mean, some people would say A&M has better resources, but I mean, hellfire. At least, A&M's been to the final. I mean, Mississippi State's been to the Final 4.
Right.
I mean,
clearly it's not a better job than Florida, Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia.
I guess. But I mean, that's not saying anything. I mean, it's right now the A&M baseball job's not better than Georgia. Georgia's 29-2. Know what I'm saying? And then we know it's sure as hell not a better football job.
Look, Trev Alberts did great getting Mike Elko.
It looks like
that one. That one to me is
but
okay.
that was the third or fourth choice because they whipped on
Right.
some others. Not just
Right.
because, but it may be the best fit. We've already said that.
Right.
So, Trev
it
better
appears
hope
to be
this
the
works
best
out
fit.
because
But this is a big hire for him.
it is
because the baseball one does not seem to be
baseball
working
looks
out.
like an F.
Yes.
And then if you go back and look at football, he better hope Elko works out, or that the next rent-a-truck will be for Trev.
I'm just saying that's the whole thing with
And
it.
the whole thing made me raise my eyebrows because, good Lord, I mean, Trev was at Nebraska Omaha. Then he went to his alma mater, Nebraska.
Right.
He's a legend over there. You think he'll never leave Nebraska for A&M?
So on the flip side,
But
conversely, on the flip side, what does this say for Ole Miss? Because everybody thinks Lane Kiffin is going to leave and wants to leave, but Ole Miss has been able to keep Lane Kiffin.
They have.
Now they've been able to keep Chris Beard from leaving to another SEC program. They've guaranteed him some NIL money. They've guaranteed him some more salary money. What does this say more? What does this say about Ole Miss?
That they're swinging. You got to give them credit. And Mike Bianco's got Ole Miss back in the top 15 in baseball. Hopefully, he's got it back on the right track. He only won a national championship there in that sport. So I'm just saying, Ole Miss right now is in a better place than Texas A&M. It just goes to show you money ain't everything. Now, it is for the Dodgers right now. They're giving away bobblehead dolls. They're falling out of cars. They're
Look, Dodger fans arrived early last night for the first time in probably 300 years.
Yeah.
Because it was Shohei Ohtani bobblehead night. They were lined up hours before the game to get in.
Sold, I'm sure. They're not selling Raisel Iglesias, I can tell you that.
Oh my goodness. Chris Beard, by the way, he got Ole Miss to the Sweet 16 this year for just the second time in program history.
Number 2. Yep. Second time. Unbelievable.
And now the Ole Miss basketball job is better than Texas A&M.
Yep. They didn't get him. So, and Indiana, we'll see in 3 or 4 years if that was a wise decision.
Indiana is surging.
I mean, they're trying.
I'm telling you, the mistake they made, and I get it. It was all about the phone calls. It was all about the NCAA coming and looking.
Yeah.
But moving on from Kelvin Sampson, when they did,
because them phone calls
that set the program back. Well,
it did. I don't know. I guess he wasn't a good fit for Indiana, but I certainly thought he was going to win big. And they gave up on Kelvin, and he had to go to the NBA for a little while. Now he's come back to Houston, and they're only one of the top 7 or 8 programs in all of college basketball. And before he came back, there had just been fits and spurts since the great Guy Lewis had taken Vice Lamajama to multiple Final Fours and national championship games. And I still say to this day, everybody always asks. A lot of them think the Fab Five. I really don't think that. As far as the best team to never win it, I think the best team to never win it was Vice Lamajama. I don't.
Oh, in Houston, yeah.
I mean, if you want to go look at that in the early to mid '80s, all the talent they had and how exciting they were. They were probably the best teams to never win it, in my opinion, and come so close and to winning a national championship. Now, I know Memphis State had some really good teams, under Larry Finch and those guys and Gene Bartow, but I really think that those Vice Lamajama teams, when you think of all the talent they had, led by the incomparable Akeem Olajuwon, and then of course Clyde Drexler and all those guys, and they were outstanding, man. They were loaded with talent.
All right, let's get a break in. 256-576-4977. You bring that up. What are some of the most memorable Cinderella runs in NCAA tournament basketball history? Just kind of sticking a stake in the nostalgia machine there. And then Charles Barkley was on the Jim Rome show yesterday and talked about his Auburn Tigers getting to the Final Four. And
he didn't say Jahoni Broom.
No, he did not. But he talked about the first meeting with Florida.
Yeah.
And we'll let him explain what he thought happened in that first meeting next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Eagle Masonry and Insulation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Where's the best place for sports? What about the best place for wings? If you answered Jefferson's for both, you're right. Jefferson's is also a great place for value. Every Monday, kids eat free with the purchase of an adult meal, and teachers bring your teacher ID and you eat free every first Tuesday of the month up to $15. At Newmarket, Jefferson's will be opening a new location at 2190 County Road 65 very soon. Jefferson's, best place for sports, best place for wings. Hampton Cove and soon in Newmarket.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
We are working with a clean slate this morning. Traffic moving along nicely. Had a couple of wrecks reported earlier. They should be long gone now. You be careful. Put extra space in there so you got someplace to go if something does go wrong. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. If you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
We are your home for March Madness.
Double comes, Pettiford splits it, floats it in lane.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond.
By the way, I was
7:20 on a Thursday morning.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Scott. We've been having fun with pronunciations this week.
Oh, yeah, we have, because apparently Auburn has 3 centers.
They have 3 centers.
Yeah, Janai Broom,
and
Johnny Broom,
and
Jahani Broom.
Well, I didn't know.
They're all related to each other.
I had Mexican food last night. I didn't know they were quesadillas.
I thought it was quesadillas.
That's what I thought, too. And I'm listening to whatever that show is in the morning on national ESPN radio, and Chris Canty's telling me he's not a quesadilla fan.
I also do be calling it quesadilla.
Well, I think we do it because it's humorous. I don't know if that's the real name.
No, I that makes it sound like you shot an armadillo. Okay.
Shot an armadillo. Ran one over with your car.
And then decided to put it in you put some roadkill in your skillet and make a quesadilla. I don't know. Because they were trying the debate was, can you have fish on a pizza? Basically. No, me too. They're claiming in southern Italy that they have pizzas with tuna on them. And
well,
that
look,
really
if it's
good.
in Italy, I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've never thought about that.
But here in America, I've never thought about putting tuna or salmon on a pizza.
Shrimp, no, nothing.
No. I'm just trying to think of how that would work.
Yeah, me too. Because they were talking about it.
But people put anchovies. Anchovies is a fish, right?
Yeah, and I'm not an.
So people put anchovies on a fish or on a pizza.
I guess I've never had them because I don't want them. They just sound nasty.
Yes,
I mean, but I'd never heard that. I'd never heard of a quesadilla. I thought, dang, I wanted to call in and be like, did y'all run over an armadillo?
Because you go to a restaurant and you say, I would like. Like you roll into, let's just use Little Rosie's, by the way, because by the way, I just love Little Rosie's going in there.
Outstanding, really good food. Yeah.
Fast and
in and out.
Yes. In and out.
Yeah.
You roll into the drive-thru and you're like, I want a chicken quesadilla.
Mm-hmm. Dia. Not Dilla.
And the lady there says anything else. She doesn't say, you mean a quesadilla?
No,
she
if
says
said Dilla, she'd say who? I'm sure. Or she'd say, you mean a dia?
I wish we could pay somebody to go through a drive-thru right now and order a breakfast quesadilla in some place.
Taco Bell got rid of their breakfast, did they not?
I don't know. Just to see what they would say.
I was on
if
the
it was
app last
quesadilla.
Night. The only reason I'm saying that is because I was on the app last night and all this breakfast stuff was.
What time did you order Taco Bell?
Like 8:45. I got the new street chalupas. They were good.
My goodness.
Not chupadillas.
Hey, your friend Heather Dinich is at it again. But this time it's informative. Okay.
It's not a dill, it's a dia.
Well, because I guess when you're in Texas, you could order a lot of quesadillas or quesadillas because you're in Texas.
They would still look at us like we got three heads, man.
Well, she's in Texas right now because the college football playoff leaders, they are getting ready to meet this morning in Dallas. Multiple sources have indicated to her that there's a strong support to move to a straight seeding model this fall while continuing to include the 5 highest ranked conference champions in the college football playoffs. There's some, though, that want to tie that discussion into 2026 as the commissioners are expected to have more substantial talks about the format in 26 and beyond. So they are meeting today in Dallas. Don't know what's going to come out of it. Don't expect anything to come out of it. But there's strong support for straight seeding this fall in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it certainly wasn't seeded correctly last year. I think we all saw that.
Right.
I don't know how this would affect 1988, but I mean, they did get to the finals with this last iteration to only finish second, heartbreakingly, just like 2012.
Oh, they weren't even close in 2012.
No, they weren't close this year either. I don't care what Nicole Auerbach or these other Northern Yankees say.
Doofuses.
They didn't win. Dennis Doofus is retiring, so we got to find somebody else. I did find out that our first guest of the morning at 8:00, Brad Logan, he is blocked by Woken.
Is he really?
Yeah. So he's a great American to get himself blocked by the tennis writer. No, hey, Eddie Jakes, man. I'm not disrespecting tennis. I just don't like Woken.
No, you don't.
No. He didn't block me though. Stuart Mandel did.
Let's jump into something more
substantiative.
Yes. But I just wanted to put that out there because there are going to be people. There's going to be people that are going to be talking about the college football playoff meetings because they are going on right now, but they're just meetings. And if something does happen from the meetings, well, great. If not, then they were just meetings with a bunch of donut and coffee and people yakking.
The Crullers.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I tell you. You know what? I walked
and
in.
Your cherry donuts.
Oh
from
my
Iowa.
gosh. Look, I walked in. Oh, by the way, there's a new donut shop coming up here, and it's coming almost right across the street from us, by the way.
Really?
Shipley's Donuts is going to open up. Because it gave the location of where it's going to be. So I was like,
I see a lot of construction going on over there.
It's right across, right by the Burger King.
Wow. So they're going to be competing directly with Krispy Kreme.
That's the first thing that caught into my mind was
and Dunkin' Donuts. It's going to be like a triangle.
But look, if you had to, Shipley's Dunkin' Donuts is the bottom of the chain now. Because they get them boxed in now. They don't remember Dunkin' Donuts had the best commercial ever.
Yeah,
the dude waking up in the dawn. I got to go make the donut.
Now they got all this iced coffee and all this other stuff.
They're more of a coffee shop with a donut there, but the donuts are not as good. The donuts are not as good at Dunkin' as what they used to be.
They've kind of gone away from the donuts.
Yes, and then you have Krispy Kreme. I mean, they're hot when the light is on.
The light is on.
But then now we have Shipley. We're going to have Shipley's across the street as well.
Alabama played an April Fool's joke on their whole football team. They were walking in there with take one Krispy Kreme box, and you opened it up and it said April Fool's from Alabama. Here's some carrots and some celery. Just a ranch.
See, I would eat that.
Well, the football players weren't real interested in eating that, I don't guess. So
Charles Barkley was on the Jim Rome show yesterday.
Speaking of somebody likes donuts.
Yep. And
coffee.
He got to talking about the fact that, Auburn hasn't been very relevant in basketball, and it's good to have them in the Final Four.
That's twice in 6 years.
Yeah. But then he talked about the first matchup with Florida. Here's Sir Charles.
But I never thought Auburn would be this relevant in basketball. The number one overall seed. Like, think about it. The last 2 years, Auburn lost in the first round and people were upset. And we've only been to the tournament a handful of times. So I'm so proud of these guys. Now, the Florida thing scares me to death because we were ranked number one basically all season. And Florida came to Auburn, and we got a great home court environment at Jungle, and they flat out spanked us, Jim. They flat out spanked us. We're going to have to play a lot better Saturday because Florida came into Auburn when we were ranked number one. I think we were on like a 10-12 game winning streak, and they flat out just spanked us. The game was not close. So I'm really worried about the game, but you know what? We got to play better, bro.
I mean, he's right. I mean, but you're there to play, and you get a rematch.
So that
should be plenty of motivation.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Florida, we thought Florida was good when they came to Auburn, but the way Auburn was playing at the time, you thought, man, this is going to be a game where it's at home. Auburn's going to have the advantage. They're going to come in, and this Florida thing is good. It's a good story, but Auburn is a better team. Florida comes in and just dominates this matchup, just dominates it. Auburn wasn't, I don't think, ready for their size, their physicality, all that other stuff. Having played that surprise factor is gone.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. Auburn knows the physicality. They know the size. They know the speed. They know all of this stuff. Does that translate into anything for Auburn? You talk about the revenge factor and wanting to get a revenge, but is all of that gone now? Is that an advantage now, Auburn?
Well, I mean, motivations and revenges can always be an advantage. I mean,
right. But aside from that, does Auburn have an advantage in this matchup?
I would say no, because the only reason is Jonai Broome is not completely healthy, and we know he's not going to be completely healthy going into this game. But at the same time, neither is Alex Condon. But the one thing we talked about with Kevin Brockway yesterday, though, is Florida will have Elijah Martin. and they did not have him against Auburn. That's another reason why I didn't give the Gators much of a shot against Auburn in the Jungle, is they didn't have Elijah Martin, who was one of their top 2 scorers. And then the Slovenian rifle, he hit 3 threes, and Urban K, UK, just call him UK. I mean, he came out firing. He gave him 17 good minutes, and he's not even playing much in the tournament.
Right.
And they have Denzel Aberdeen. The Gators are just really deep, and they may be a little healthier than Auburn. We will see. But it's a 140-minute basketball game. I still think it's anybody's game. I want to say earlier in the week, Florida was a 2.5-point favorite.
Right.
I think so. It's going to be a close, tight game. Then you take into account, though, the venue you're playing in, which is the Alamo Dome or whatnot, and it's big,
little cavernous. It's big. Your shooter's eye is different.
So will a Miles Kelly shoot better with this backdrop?
Right.
Some shooters don't. We'll see. How will Walter Clayton shoot in this environment? He went up to the complete 40 minutes without Martin being on the floor that day and played well against Auburn, the Florida Bigs. I think that was actually the one and that was February the 8th, by the way. That's when I realized that Florida might be big time. I thought they were really good, but after you saw them just take Auburn apart without Elijah Martin, you start thinking, wow, maybe this Florida team is Final Four worthy. And they pretty much took the baton and ran with it after that. Now, they had that hiccup at Georgia where they didn't show up or whatever, get down 26 points, and yet they found a way to get the lead back. That shows you how explosive this Florida team is. But I would give Florida a slight edge. I tend to agree with Kevin Brockway. I think he picked the Gators 88-83. That's somewhere in there, 3, 4, 5 points. I think it's going to be a 1 to 2 possession game.
Right.
It could swing either way. I certainly think Auburn has a more than a puncher's chance in the game, but we're going to have to see, how healthy Jonai is. And if, because he was tremendous in that first half before getting that elbow injury in the middle of the second half against Michigan State.
All right, let's slip in Johnny on his cell real fast before the break. Good morning, Johnny.
What's up, Johnny?
Hey, guys.
Yeah, now this is Johnny.
Yeah.
Not Jahani.
It is.
Or Jahoni.
Not Jahani.
A jabroni.
No. So, I basically, my schedule's kind of changed. I haven't been getting out in the mornings as much. And so.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we get to the, we're back to the 8 again. And I personally think that Duke and Florida are mirror images of each other. They have a lot of tall guys that can shoot. They have good guards. And I'd be surprised at the end of the day it's not Duke and Florida for the title.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, I think obviously I like the addition of the guy coming from Bucknell. I think he'll be a good fit for what we're going to lose in some of our bigs. The Caleb Holt, I think he's one of those Final Four kind of raise your program to a Final Four kind of talent.
Right.
Is there any chance Bama's got a shot at that kid, but because he's transferred out of the state, it's a Duke kind of thing? What's the latest on that?
I haven't heard a lot. Caleb Holt was last on campus at Alabama in the summer into the fall when I think it was actually the fall when Alabama played Georgia in football early in September. He was on camp with A.J. Dibonista and Brandon Burries. All those guys. The two of those guys, Dibonista and Burries, are 5 stars in this class, and Caleb Holt will be one of the top 10, top 5 players in the 2026 group. He was on campus at Auburn, I think, when I think for that game against Florida, I believe. And so he's made trips to both places. I know that I've heard in the past that he liked North Carolina, but they're going through some changes with Hubert Davis and getting a general manager, and they did not have a great year this year. All I'll say to you, Johnny, is what I've told everybody. I haven't gotten any intel, and probably we won't start hearing the hot and heavy on Caleb Holt till this summer, and this summer will be his last one on the circuit when everybody's trying to line up visits and get him on campus. But I'll just say what I've always said. He can go wherever he wants. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I mean, he can go to Kansas.
Yeah,
and he's part of that Adidas Atlanta Celtics program or whatnot over there in Georgia, has been for a long time. And they're Adidas, and certainly Alabama and Auburn are not Adidas. We know that Kansas is, but Kansas has went through some things. They didn't have a great year this year. So Auburn is switching over to Nike, and so they'll be part of that Nike revolution that a lot of teams are. It's going to be really interesting to see how Caleb Holt's recruitment plays out. I do think I would be surprised if he didn't at least officially visit both Alabama and Auburn and give them both a legit shot to sign him. I think he would be a great fit at Alabama with Nate Oates' style of play, being free and flowing. But certainly Bruce Pearl's program is high profile, and his with what Tahad Pettiford's done, Denver Jones, he certainly lets his guards play as well. Auburn just got Keyshawn Hall, I believe, out of the transfer portal
from
UCF.
Yep,
6'7" guard. So I think he's similar skill set wise to Caleb Holt. So both of them are going to take a swing at him, no doubt about it. We'll see what happens. I don't think it'll make or break either program if they don't get Caleb Holt. But you're right, a program like Alabama, a program like Auburn making their second Final Four journey in 6 years. Alabama back-to-back Elite Eights, made the Final Four last year. He could certainly be a good enough piece to push you over the top. He's a great, great player.
I think basically what we've seen this year is that, look, you still got to have a one and done. Maybe, Duke's got 3 of them, but you've got to a tough-minded group of, guys that are your program builders. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you've seen, in here for Auburn. And quite frankly, I hope the Bucks. I am not an in-state guy, so hell no, I'm not going to pull for them. Huh. So I want them. I want their year to end. I'm a Bama guy. I'm not going to pull for Auburn. Mm-hmm. Part either, but I will. At the end of the day, I will pull conference over. If there's a chance for Florida to beat Duke, as much as I hate it, I will probably. But I'm not going to be an SEC rah-rah guy either. I mean, when we ended at the 8, basketball season ended for me, and I'm not even really going to watch much of the Final Four. I might even pull for Houston just to have a rooting interest away from the powers that be and give an underdog and to give an old dog like Samson a final bone.
Yeah,
Johnny, thanks for the phone call as well.
Thank you, Johnny. We appreciate that, and us. And certainly it's going to be a great Final Four, a star-studded one. And I can understand some people's frustrations when your journey ends because the journeys are hard.
No, they are.
But Auburn's still alive. They've still got a legit shot to win a national championship. So does Florida. So it's a very exciting time, no doubt about it. And should be a heck of a Final Four. And Alabama's got Noah Williamson committed. They've had another couple guys on campus, Corey Chest, power forward from LSU, Bull Bowen. A stretch 4 from Florida State was on campus yesterday. And then the interesting part about today, though, is this is April the 3rd.
Yeah.
The dead period is in effect for the next week or so.
All right, let's get our break in. When we come back, there are some tournament records in the Final Four that are interesting to think about with these 4 teams coming in. We'll explain it all next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Upper 60s expected for this Thursday night. We'll continue to sit under a partly cloudy sky, but heading into our Friday, we'll continue to see mostly clouds in the forecast. There's a small opportunity for a little bit of rain heading into the afternoon. High temperatures once again stay warm and above average, reaching the mid-80s. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We are working with a clean slate this morning. Traffic moving along nicely. Had a couple of wrecks reported earlier. They should be long gone now. You be careful. Put extra space in there so you got someplace to go if something does go wrong. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. If you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo will be at the Von Braun Center April 4th, 5th, and 6th in conjunction with the MLF Red Crest Championship on Lake Gunnersville. The Outdoor Expo will be open from 11 to 6:30 daily, and the first 200 kids 14 and under on Saturday will receive a free Abu Garcia rod and reel, courtesy of WHNT News 19. There will be hourly giveaways, tackle and boat deals, seminars, and a chance to meet the pros. And it's free of charge. The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo, April 4th through 6th at the BBC.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
Now is the time to sign up for the Eagle Installation WZZN Charity Golf Tournament to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This year's event is the morning of April 21st at Cherokee Ridge, and each member of the winning team not only gets the championship belt, but a full year membership to Cherokee Ridge. Breakfast and lunch are provided, plus tremendous prizes and a chance to win $100,000. Cost is $800 a team or $200 per individual, and corporate sponsorships are available. Send an email to 977WZZNevents@gmail.com to reserve your spot today.
Never miss 1 second of Charger baseball with the Charger Zone.
Wendell, Knowles, by Lindsay, 6, 4, 3, double play, and UAH is 1 out away.
Only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app.
Love it. Well, I watched this. I did watch the Bob Marley movie, though. I forget what it was called. It was actually very interesting that, he left Jamaica because
he was in danger, right?
He was in danger, and his music wasn't like he had a concert. His music wasn't going over, it wasn't resonating with the people, and he left. And then when it came time for him to come back, it was the right time, and then it just exploded, and it was so good. And man, love me some Bob Marley.
Well, you put out the word about Shipley's Donuts. Now we're getting feedback. They got one in Birmingham. It's supposedly outstanding.
Yeah.
Listeners are excited now.
It's coming here.
Shipley's Donuts.
So I was looking at the Final Four record book.
Right.
Because it's always interesting to see some of these records. Cooper Flagg, Tahad Pettiford, some of these freshmen. There's a couple of freshmen that are going to be worth watching this weekend in the Final Four. Mm-hmm. And I got me wondering, okay, so what's the record for points scored by freshmen? Is it possible that Flagg or Pettiford, because Pettiford, by the way, is Auburn's leading scorer in the tournament coming off the bench.
Tremendous talent.
Is there a chance that one of these freshmen could crack the top 10 or top 6 in points scored by freshmen this tournament? Mark Aguirre, by the way, from DePaul, has the record as points scored by a freshman. And remember, this has got my mind going. They used to play a third place game in the NCAA tournament. So after you lost in the first semifinal, you would turn around and play on Monday. You would play for third place in the tournament. But Mark Aguirre has the record at 34 points. That is the most points ever scored by a freshman in the NCAA tournament. How about this name? Second on that list with 33 points, Carmelo Anthony did it in a Final Four game for Syracuse against Texas in 2003.
Rick Barnes' only trip, man.
Yeah.
That was the only national championship for the great Jim Boeheim, and not Boeheim, Boeheim.
How about this freshman, Toby Bailey?
Oh yeah, that he was part of that '95 UCLA team, man. Great
Scored
player.
26 in the championship game for UCLA against Arkansas. Purvis Ellison scored 25.
1986 against Duke.
So did Greg Oden from Florida in 07. Patrick Ewing from Georgetown scored 23 in the championship game against North Carolina in 1982. And Eugene Banks had 22. So 22.
That was 1978 Notre Dame for Gene.
Yeah.
They lost to Kentucky.
And then he also scored 22. He did it twice in both games. In the semifinal and the championship game, he scored 22 points for Notre Dame against Notre Dame and then against Kentucky. So 22 would get you into the record books. 34 is the record. So that's something to keep an eye on with these freshmen playing in the semifinals. Let's go out to the phone lines and let's get in Josh real fast. Good morning, Josh.
What's up, Josh?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Hey, I just wanted to let y'all know I'm from here. I lived in Birmingham 16 years, and you guys are in for a treat when Shipley's open. It is phenomenal. It is fantastic. Now, I was spoiled in Birmingham because they have the giant Krispy Kreme there, and you can see the donuts go up and down the conveyor and they come out fresh and hot.
Yeah.
But Shipley's is phenomenal, and you guys are going to be so happy when they open.
It's going to be right across the parkway. Literally, we're going to be able to probably see it right from our windows here at the station.
Well, be prepared to gain some weight. That's all I can say.
Oh no! Here we go. Oh,
hey, I love the show, fellas. Y'all have a good one, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, let's get in B Rich.
What's up, B Rich?
What's up, B Rich?
Hey, fellas, just calling in another glowing review for Shipley's. I have hit the one in Hoover many times. It's actually kind of in that Hoover Vestavia Hills area there.
Right,
but,
right.
The donuts are phenomenal. Do not sleep on the kolaches.
The kolaches.
Oh, baby. See, now here's the thing, though. To me, they've got to be.
I have be rich.
They've got to be fantastic because in Cedar Rapids, where I grew up, we have a Czech village, a Czech village. I can't say the whole dang thing, Czechoslovakian or whatever. Village, and they have a Kolach festival every year, and so I mean these things are phenomenal, and it's like, man, I just want one so bad.
Wow.
Well, they're fantastic. They have quite a variety. I'm a ham and a cheese or a sausage and jalapeno and cheese kind of guy.
These are stuffed pastries, right?
Pizza.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just a stuffed dough.
Man,
they're phenomenal. So the donuts are great too. The donuts are better. I agree with Scott. Dunkin's quality has gone down.
Yep.
Shipley's are phenomenal. I mean, homemade every day.
Wow.
It's one of those places you smell it before you ever go in there. All that kind of stuff.
I've seen some kolaches on. Well, that's why I was making sure it was what I'd seen on Food Network. So I've seen some of these places that make kolaches, but I've never been to one that did.
Now,
so
they haven't put an official date on when it's going to open, but they are working on it right now. That's when they're moving all that dirt. They're building it now. So I don't know when it's going to open, but it is coming.
Here we go.
I need y'all to give us the progress report. Like I'm expecting y'all to be our and ears on the ground because y'all are going to be able to watch it go up.
We should pass it every day.
That may be a spot for us to do some shows at, though.
Oh man!
Absolutely. Hey, Drew, real quick, I got one question for you, Drew.
Right.
And I'm embarrassed to admit I don't know this because I was a huge Patrick Ewing, Georgetown, Knicks, all that.
Yes.
Did Patrick in his Georgetown days, did they ever get a natty?
Yes, they won in 84. They played in 3 national championships games in 82, 84, and 85. And they went 1 and 2.
Yeah, he scored. He had 23 points as a freshman against North Carolina in 82 in the championship game.
Yeah, and the only Final Four he didn't make was his sophomore year in 83. And that was, of course, the Wolf Pack of NC State over Vice Lamajama.
Gotcha. I just remember the losses. That should be proof that the losses are worse than the wins. But I remember the 2 losses, but I couldn't remember if he popped one or not.
Well, yeah, because the 2 losses in 82 to Jordan and then 85 to Villanova, they were 2 of the all-timers. But they did win in 84 over Houston and Vice Lamajama, and Patrick got his national championship. It was Big John Thompson, who I miss every day. I mean, when I was younger, I did not like John, but I had to kind of figure him out. And I miss Big John, and that was his only national championship at Georgetown.
Think about that final though in 82 between Georgetown and North Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, just think about that.
I mean, it's just tremendous. Yeah.
Well, fellas, y'all get ready for donuts and kolaches and keep us updated.
Oh,
we will. Thanks, be Rich.
Jalapeno and sausage kolaches with some
Shipley's,
mustard.
baby. Here we come.
We got a bathroom nearby.
Here we come. Donuts, baby.
Wow.
Let's get a break
I
in.
like some kolaches.
I just want a donut.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're still looking at a clean slate this morning. Traffic's moving along nicely. We don't have anything on the board accident-wise. You be careful. Put some extra room in there so you got someplace to move to if something does go wrong around you. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Countdown to the 2025 Trash Panda season is on. Tickets are available for the full 2025 home schedule, including opening night on Friday, April 4th. But it doesn't end there. The Trash Panda season opens with 9 home games in 10 days, featuring theme nights, giveaways, fireworks, and more. This opening homestand has it all. For more information, check us out online at trashpandasbaseball.com.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary, but it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan. That is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, I'll just say this. We're in trouble.
Yeah, you was reading the menu.
I actually went to the Shipley's menu.
I knew you were going to do that.
They haven't even put the beam in yet for the building yet. They're still moving the dirt.
A bunch of dirt.
And we're already looking at the menu. Folks, they have a cherry ice donut.
Yeah, that's Scott's favorite because he loves the cherry donuts from Iowa. So now he almost came out of his chair, man. It was something to see.
They have a cherry ice donut.
He put his hands above his head.
They've got a strawberry ice with sprinkles. They got a white iced bullseye, chocolate
What's
ice.
a bullseye, by the way?
It looks like a donut with filling
inside it. Or in the middle?
Not inside it, just in the middle. See, look, I'm going to show you the white ice bullseye here. We're going to just turn the screen around.
Yeah, there we go.
It's right there. So it looks like they put frosting right in the middle of it, but you still have the hole in the donut.
There's still a hole there.
So that is what you're getting. They've got all kinds of donuts. They've got your traditional, but they've got the devil's food-filled donut, the lemon-filled donut, raspberry-filled, strawberry-filled, blueberry-filled, chocolate-filled, cherry-filled, chocolate cream-filled.
I feel like we're doing the sequel to Forrest Gump here to read this menu.
They've got all kinds of stuff. They got your old fat. Oh my goodness! The butterfly roll looks like a big gigantic cinnamon roll. And the apple fritter.
The fritter. I love fritters.
You can't go wrong with an apple fritter.
Is it big?
It looks big.
Oh, those fritters are amazing.
Put that in the microwave after a little bit for about 5 seconds. Get it nice and warm. Apple fritters.
Probably won't drink any coffee. We already know what the coffee did.
Oh my god! Yeah, well, I don't do coffee either.
Yeah,
dude, if both of us had a sip of coffee, we'd die.
I'm not even going there. I'm not having coffee. So
we end our hour talking about donuts. We started talking about the Braves. They still have a donut as well.
Ole Miss Rebels with Brad Logan next.
That was beautiful. I talked about donuts, and the Braves still have a donut.
They do, 0-7. It's certainly not cream-filled.
We'll talk basketball.
This is Brent Musburger's BSIN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Men's Final Four Saturday night, just after 6 Eastern. Auburn, a 2.5-point underdog against the Florida Gators. The Tigers at plus 130. The over-under is 159.5. The Tigers arrived in San Antonio on Wednesday to start preparing. Off day for the Braves today. They start the season 0-7 after a 6-5 loss last night on the road at Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Atlanta still among betting favorites to win the World Series, though, at plus 1,000, holding steady at plus 550 to win the National League pennant. NASCAR Cup Series, Goodyear 400, Kyle Larson plus 450 to take the checkered flag, Tyler Reddick plus 650, Denny Hamlin plus 700. I'm Chuck Sanders on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew Dermond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center helping us kick off hour number 2, 256-881-5151. Official medical providers for the Rocket City Trash Pandas and the UAH Chargers, both which you can hear on multiple venues here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Baseball, softball at Charger Park tomorrow. Trash Pandas getting underway on Friday as well. So all that heating up. So if you got any nicks and bruises, give SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center a call or find them on sportsmedalabama.com. We were talking in hour number 1, and we got to talking about the Ole Miss basketball job and where it kind of falls in line with the rest of the SEC. Is it as good as some other jobs? Well, you would have to say yes now, because Ole Miss was able to keep Chris Beard. They've been able to keep Lane Kiffin at the football side. They upped the ante with the NIL for basketball. They upped Chris Beard's salary. When it mattered the most, Ole Miss stepped up. They made it happen. And you have to say right now, Ole Miss, they are doing things very competitively and staying there. They're putting themselves right where they need to be.
Yes, they are. And we got our next guest live via Zoom with us today on video. He does an outstanding job. He is, of course, part of the Logan Media Network and part of Inside the Rebels with our good friend David Johnson on 24/7 Sports. You can catch him regularly on WFCA FM Sports. Also, he is the host of the Believe in Ole Miss daily podcast, and of course, the Red Blue Crew pod. Wears a lot of hats, but he's as tied in with the Rebels as anyone we speak with. And he has been kind enough to join us this morning and talk about what was a great day in Ole Miss basketball history yesterday, and arguably the greatest season in Rebel history that just concluded under Chris Beard, who's only completed 2 years in Oxford, but is transforming that program right now, just like he did Texas Tech. And, of course, we're talking about Brad Logan. Brad, good morning. You were through. And Scott, how are you, sir?
Hey, good morning. And real quick, guys, thanks for having me on. My good friend David Johnson, recovering from heart surgery. So,
wow.
He had open heart surgery yesterday. So I encourage everyone out there, if you're the praying kind, to keep David and his family in your thoughts and prayers. It's going to be a tough road back, but the good news is the surgery was a success. Mm-hmm. They've got him up walking around, so he's got a long road, but he's doing much better, and I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, and David's been on with us several times, and we know he went through a lot during the COVID pandemic as well, man, because he had a long recovery there, and we had him back on. But, yes, I'm glad you informed us of that. I'll certainly send a note to him, and he's a great man, and we certainly wish him, a complete recovery. It's going to take a while, but want to see David back on the beat. He does an outstanding job for Inside the Rebels, and, again, appreciate you letting us know about our good friend David Johnson.
You bet. And real quick, too, Brett Nordsworthy, that weather that came through, yes. Drew, I reached out to Brett last night, 5-inch hail and a lot of damage in Arkansas. Lake City, Arkansas had a monstrous tornado come through, so a lot of damage in Arkansas. So anyway, a lot of stuff happened yesterday that was quite negative, but a lot of good stuff happened in Oxford with Ole Miss securing Chris Beard. It was kind of a new day in Ole Miss basketball. I don't think we're being hyperbolic, Drew, when you said it was the biggest day in Ole Miss basketball history. I think you could argue that Ole Miss had one of its better or best season. I guess we could date back to that 0-1 season when they made the Sweet 16, beating Notre Dame. But I do think there could be an argument to be made that this is the better team out of the other 2 or 3 that made the Sweet 16, the furthest Ole Miss has ever went. Early yesterday, guys, we started getting wind that Texas A&M was making a major push for Chris Beard. And obviously Buzz Williams went off to Maryland, so that opened that vacancy. Trev Alberts, the athletic director, Texas A&M, wants to do his best to get the best coach possible. And Irving, Texas native Chris Beard was available. That way it would have been the trifecta if you had A&M, Texas, and then Texas Tech on your record. But Ole Miss and athletic director Keith Carter, who I've said all along was an incredible hire for the university. Ross Bjork made that decision about 12 years ago, back in 2009, when 12 years ago, Keith Carter came out of professional basketball and became
a great player at Ole Miss,
the athletic foundation. Then when Ross Bjork went to Texas A&M, Keith was named the interim athletic director, but it was a natural fit. He was eventually that interim tag was removed. And I would be hard-pressed to say right now, gentlemen, that Ole Miss has its best collection of head coaches in the major four sports, the best they've had in program history. Championship in baseball. It's a really, really good time for Ole Miss, I think, in large part because of Keith, because of its head coaches, and most importantly right now because of its NIL arm of the Grove Collective led by Walker Jones. Everybody kind of runs in concert. It's a really good circle right now with Ole Miss. Denson Hollis and the Athletic Foundation stays very tied in to the athletic program. So right now, things are working really well at Ole Miss.
Yeah, and we talked about that in hour number one, and the fact that there's always talk about Lane Kiffin wanting to leave Ole Miss, but yet he's always there. He stays there at Ole Miss. You're able to keep Chris Beard on the basketball side. The NIL value goes up. He's able to pay him. You know, Ole Miss for so long was thought of as that job you go and you take for 2 or 3 years, and maybe you get a bigger payday job. But Ole Miss now, it seems like it's destination jobs.
That's right, and destination has to come with money.
Yes.
And what we've seen is that Ole Miss has had the ability to pay the salary. There have been reports out there of what Texas A&M offered. I don't have any of that on record. All I know is that Jeff Goodman of Field of 68 reported yesterday a 5-year deal is on the table, we think, and that should be coming down the road. Money was not stipulated in any of the major reports that I've heard. So we'll see what happens. I know he made around $5 million at Ole Miss. I would expect that to go up. There was speculation that obviously the A&M was upping that, so I would expect Ole Miss to up that as well. I think a large part of the reason that Chris Beard is staying, number one, I think he likes it in Oxford. I think he really appreciates the opportunity that Ole Miss is doing its best to keep him, to invest in the basketball program. You know, I'd be lying if I told you. I think I said on this program last time I was with you, Ole Miss is one of the, at least when I was on, I don't know that it is now, but was one of the least thought of about programs in the Southeastern Conference. But I think they've done a lot to alleviate that negative connotation. Ole Miss is one of the few programs that have actually had a rain out in men's basketball back when Andy Kennedy was playing in the Tad Smith Coliseum. So the program has come a long way. And I think a large part of the reason that Chris Beard did not take the job is there's been a huge influx of the NIL program and the Grove Collective backing the men's basketball program. And I think that was a big reason why Chris Beard elected to stay.
Yeah, and it's huge for Ole Miss, and that's what I've tried to say about Alabama and Nate Oates, people coming after him, and then of course the Rob Vaughn hire away from Maryland, and there was some speculation A&M might come after him last year. Supposedly they called, he didn't want to take the call, but when you have an athletic director that supports you and gives you the tools you need, and certainly Keith Carter is doing that at Ole Miss, that's why coaches stay. And I'll just be honest, I know Trev's still early in his tenure at A&M, but it kind of raised an eyebrow for me that, they lose Schlossnagle at A&M to Texas. And now, Buzz Williams decides to leave, even though he was coming off his best year at A&M. And then when I know Chris Beard's weighing everything, this is the portal era and NIL, but both the Ole Miss and A&M rosters were in similar shape in that they were going to have to be completely rebuilt. And we all know that it's an ongoing building process, but it sounds like he's already made some strong inroads to rebuild this roster for the Rebels going into next season.
Yeah, and real quick, I want to kind of turn this around and ask you guys a question. Were you surprised that Buzz Williams left for Maryland?
A little bit,
mildly,
because I thought Texas A&M. All you hear from Texas A&M,
excited.
They've got all this money. They've got all of this stuff that they could put towards NIL. They have everything there. But it was almost kind of like the Texas A&M people didn't want Buzz anymore, and Buzz didn't feel welcome.
Yeah, I mean, and of course they spin it that Buzz left Marquette after 5 years, left Virginia Tech, and that maybe he might be a little bit hard to work with, but I've been around Buzz in the media. I like him a lot. I think he's very, very transparent. I thought because look, A&M, even with all their money, their basketball history is not very good. I mean, historically they haven't done a lot. I mean, you could say that Ole Miss has done more. So, I mean, you could argue it vehemently. So I thought that Buzz should be, and then sometimes at a place like A&M, it takes, a few years to get it rolling. And I thought he had that. I mean, they were in the top 20 all year. They were in the top 10. I don't know why A&M wouldn't be satisfied with that. But again, I also think when you look at A&M historically, Brad, there's always been instability there. There's always been a lot of infighting. And right now, Keith Carter being an alum, I think helps a lot. And a lot of the people that are listening to this show probably don't understand how good a player he was as a Rebel. I certainly remember him. But I think sometimes when you get a guy in there, Bjork did a good job, and I'm sure he'll do he left and went to A&M, and now he's left to go to Ohio State. But see, what I keep the theme with A&M is leaving. There's always people leaving there. And so I just think Buzz probably understood that maybe some of the support was waning a little bit, and he decided to go to Maryland. And Maryland historically is a better basketball job than the Aggies.
Yeah, and two things Ross Bjork did while he was athletic director at Ole Miss. I mean, we could get into his career, but he hired Coach Yolette McKeown, otherwise known as Coach Yo, who's done a really good job of the women's basketball program, got the Rebels to the Sweet 16 for the second year in a row. And that's something that hasn't been done since the Van Chancellor days in the early 1990s, late 80s. And then he hired Keith Carter. Keith played 10 years in the league after he left Ole Miss in Europe, played professional basketball. So to say that he knows basketball is an understatement. And he keeps that job very close to the vest. Even when he was the director of the foundation, he was a color analyst on the Ole Miss Men's Basketball Network. And I told him not long ago during football season, I said, Keith, you're a great athletic director. I mean, you've done great things, but man, you were the greatest color analyst I've ever heard. I mean, he had a career with the SEC Network, but obviously he has much bigger fish to fry now with the job that he has. But I don't think Ole Miss fans can give him enough credit for what he's done, because I truly believe, guys, that whenever the Grove Collective and the NIL world started, Keith, along with Lane Kiffin, was at the forefront of this, understanding the parameter of the rules, staying within the rules, but understanding that relationship with the Grove Collective, that relationship with the Ole Miss Athletic Foundation, which are two, that is the athletic arm of fundraising, and then you've got the NIL arm of the NIL program of the Grove Collective. All of that working together with Keith Carter at the middle. Right now, Ole Miss fans are seeing the fruits of that. It's bared a lot of fruit. And I think yesterday was a monumental day, not only for Ole Miss men's basketball, but Ole Miss athletics.
But now comes the hard part, though, and that is, I mean, if you got the collective money now, that's great, and then they're using it, but is it sustainable? Can Ole Miss sustain keeping that money there?
Scott, that's a really good question. And a couple of years ago, specifically when Ole Miss started really investing into its programs, and then last year when Ole Miss really invested into football, specifically on the defensive side of the ball with the defensive line, all the players that are getting drafted, I was kind of scratching my head and saying, this may be a kind of a one and done type deal, to use a basketball analogy. But I think from the people that I've spoken to, Ole Miss can play. Ole Miss has a fairly deep coffer to go to for money. And I think it's more or less the money's always been there, but kind of using a little bit of the Texas A&M analogy, things were kind of in disarray in years past, but Ole Miss kind of has things together. Yes. They've kind of circled the wagons, if you will, and they've got the right communication pieces out to the right money people. So I think right now, Scott, I think Ole Miss can. And I think they're proving that over the last couple of years, stepping up to the plate. My conversations with Walker Jones and the Ole Miss Grove Collective, it's a very vital part of the athletic program, and they're very vibrant right now when it comes to finances. And I think right now they're playing in the game.
Well, and then to close it out, I give a shout out to Andy Kennedy too. The success he had at Ole Miss, basketball wise, allowed the pavilion to be built, and that's another part of being able to keep Chris Beard around. It's an outstanding facility. Some including our good friend Brian Pasick from the Crimson Tide Sports Network, think it's as nice as any arena in the SEC. So kudos to Ole Miss for that as well, the facility upgrades. Well, Brad, we know you got a busy schedule. We appreciate the time and talking some Rebels. It was a great day, but we do pray for David Johnson and, of course, our good friend Brett Norsworthy. But let everybody know how to connect with you and to continue to follow this story that's a major one going on in Mississippi.
Sure. Just follow us online at rebs247.com. That's Inside the Rebels, an affiliate of 24/7 Sports. And we always like to say the hub is a Twitter/X at Brad Logan COTE. Thanks, gentlemen.
Kind of overshadows spring football, doesn't it?
Well, that just shows you how well things are going in Ole Miss right now, because certainly Lane Kiffin's a big deal, and they'll focus on that in a minute. But it was a great day to be a Rebel.
No, it was, because it was one of those.
Chris Beard stay in the league.
It was one of those moments for Ole Miss that when you heard Texas A&M was coming a calling, it was like, great.
The Ole Miss alignment is
we're going to lose
than Texas A&M's right now.
We're going to lose our coach to Texas A&M.
Now A&M could still make a big splash here. Maybe they've got a
they
wild card
will.
to play. We're going to talk to Andrew Hattersley about that in a few minutes. But
this was a chest pumping moment for Ole Miss. This was we pounding our chest and saying, we are you. If you're going to come, no, you're not going to get one of ours. Ours. You know, we're here. We're going to stay here.
No soup for you. Some kolaches.
Yeah. Oh,
I was just informed that I have had a kolaches. I just didn't realize that's what it was. My good friend Freddie Kirby texts me. He says, "Hey, boy," he goes, "Remember that what I gave you? A couple of months ago, I brought you that thing with mustard. That was a kolaches. It was outstanding. Didn't realize what I was eating. I'm not as big a food expert as you, Scott. I just know it tasted good, man.
Well, we know Shipley's is coming." Yeah. We don't know when, people. We just read. I've read the release that they are coming, and they're going to be located up here on North Parkway, right across from us here now in our new palatial palace.
Yeah, and then I just got sent a message that the Braves should become the Atlanta Black Sox.
Look, they are not. They are not that bad. They're bad.
They're bad,
but they're
right
not
now.
that bad. Look,
I hope not.
It could get worse. It could get worse.
Let's hope not.
I mean, look.
I mean, I'll just go back to Bill Shanks last night.
Well,
Bill on his X account, he just posted, "There are no words."
The good news is,
the
Colorado Rockies have scored 10 runs this year.
How many have they won?
1.
Okay.
The bad news is the Atlanta Braves have scored 14 runs this year and have not had a win.
No.
So we got to get a break in. We'll continue this conversation next with you, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Picked up a wreck on Oakwood at Canterbury Circle. It's going to be a no injury, but it does have some blockage. HPD's got units on the way for it. Everything else looks good this morning. I don't see any other snags for you. Are you over 35 and overweight? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. And we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. Their locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center. Tired of that washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
Where's the best place for sports? What about the best place for wings? If you answered Jefferson's for both, you're right. Jefferson's is also a great place for value. Every Monday, kids eat free with the purchase of an adult meal, and teachers bring your teacher ID, and you eat free every first Tuesday of the month up to $15. At Newmarket, Jefferson's will be opening a new location at 2190 County Road 65 very soon. Jefferson's, best place for sports, best place for wings. Hampton Cove, and soon in Newmarket.
Thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Convene in San Antonio on Saturday. Just in case you are wondering.
It's our ripping going on.
The combined 2-team records for points scored in an NCAA tournament game belong there. There's one mark. 2 sets of teams have combined to score this amount, and that is 200 points. That is the most combined points scored in an NCAA tournament game. In 1965, Princeton versus Wichita State in the third place game.
You guess who was probably on that Princeton team?
In 65?
Yep.
Oh.
Dollar Bill.
Bill Walton?
Walton says UCLA, man. Come on. Bill Bradley.
Oh, Bill Bradley. He's got his name in this book here quite a bit. And then in 1977, in the third place game, Charlotte and UNLV scored a combined 200.
Sweet.
Other games that might be of interest: in 76, UCLA in Rutgers, and in 65, UCLA and Wichita State. Most of the point records have come in the third place games for combined points. So there you go. The fewest points, I don't know if we will see this one or not. Combined, 73 is the fewest points scored in a combined game. That was set in 1941, obviously well before
the shot clock and 3-point line.
Now, if you're looking at 3-point ones, there really isn't any. 82 is a combined score between Oklahoma State and Kentucky back in 49. We're not going to see any of that. But field goals combined, UNLV in Charlotte. I mean, a lot of these records have stood forever. But what about this one? Tell me if you think this one here is one that could be broken this weekend. And that is rebounds. Bill Russell, the great Bill Russell, has the all-time record for rebounds at 27 in a game. He did that in 1956 against my Iowa Hawkeyes.
Couldn't beat the great Bill Russell and Casey Jones.
Armando Bacot Nick Collison, Bill Walton, Artis Gilmore, Lou Alcindor,
the great
and
Kareem
Bill
Abdul-Jabbar.
Spivey all have 21 rebounds.
Wow.
Do you think Janai Broom or Johnny Broom or Jahani Broom, all three of them, because, I mean, that is a three-headed monster that Florida's going to have to try to stop. Do you think that he could get 21 rebounds?
Think Joe Nye is going to get 21 rebounds. I think a double-double, I could see that. But maybe he now if he does come up with a game of that magnitude,
right?
Say he goes for a 26-21 type game, then Auburn's going to beat Florida. There's no question in my mind. He's already a legend at Auburn, but Joe Nye would be one of the all-timers.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't work, it can always, combined. If his alter egos get 7 rebounds each,
well, I don't know.
He could have it.
I mean, it wasn't Jahani Broom or Brome. I'm surprised it wasn't Jahani Brome.
He said Jahani.
Oh man, this is about like the time he tried to read rap or read Rihanna. That's what it was. It was
read Rihanna.
Yeah.
Well, that actually made sense.
I don't know.
Maybe,
but if Joe Nye can,
that's the whole point of me asking that.
Joe Nye Broom for Auburn to win, it may take that kind of game against Florida, one of those all timers, and he's capable.
Because, I mean, it's 21 rebounds. I mean, that's something to me that, he had a double-double in the first half against Michigan State. He had 11 rebounds in the first half.
So it's not all. It's not.
I was thinking 21.
That was pointed out to me that we already talked about Elijah Martin not playing for Florida in that game. Han Lockton was not on the floor either. The other 7-footer for the Gators. So this Gator team will be even deeper than the one that played against Auburn that won in Neville Arena. That's going to be another factor.
So when we were talking about that in the first hour, and I was saying, okay, Auburn didn't understand the physicality, the size, and the strength of Florida. We can't use that argument then maybe in the second matchup because Florida was missing some of those pieces that, again, maybe Auburn won't understand the physicality of that. But then I look at the way Texas Tech played Florida. They did it a lot with guard play. They did it a lot with controlling how that game is. They very similar to Auburn, I think, Texas Tech. That game plan worked beautifully to slow the Gators down. Auburn fully capable of executing what Texas Tech did, I think, maybe to slow Florida down.
Well, yeah, I think Auburn is more than capable of winning this game. They just need an All-American performance from Joe Nye Broom. They need Denver Jones to lock down, try to slow down Walter Clayton Jr., plus make shots. They need the closer, a.k.a., Tahad Pettiford to play well. They need a solid all-around effort. And if they get it and if they shoot it well and they don't turn it over, and they can hang on the glass with Florida, then they can definitely win this game.
All right. Did you know the UFL season has started again?
Who?
I know. I didn't know it. I did not know it had started.
I mean, you need to see Cole Kubel.
I just saw the commercial up on the screen. I mean, that's the only reason why I brought it up.
Football Focus grade for Birmingham Stallions and former Austin Blackberry and Crimson Tide national champion Deontay Brown having some horrendous Pro Football Focus grade. And Cole Kubel had a very succinct answer for that. Stop sharing this bleep. I guess he's not a believer in Pro Football Focus. I'm not really either. I don't really give a rat's crap.
Pro Football Focus. Remember, that was the one dude that joined. It looked like give him credit.
Exactly.
I give him credit.
Point. That's a great point. How in the blue hell in 2020 can Alabama beat the Georgia Bulldogs in Bryant-Denny Stadium and get dominated? I mean, we had that guy on. I thought he was on some reefer. I thought he had some weed in his kolaches.
He got one of them.
I mean,
Special
Najee
donuts?
Harris had 30 carries for 150 yards. He's saying Najee didn't do a whole lot. I mean, I'm like, puff, pass.
I forget the dude's name.
I can't. Why the hell would we remember it?
But I give him credit for joining the show.
He did
and
join
defend his article. He tried to defend it the best he could.
It was probably the stupidest segment in the history of this show.
Well,
I mean, hell, sometimes you cuss. We didn't even cuss that day, man.
We could have.
I wanted to.
I remember finding that article and being like, what the blue blazes is this?
I remember because you shared it with me, and then we reached out to the guy, and at least he had the guts to come on. But good heavens to Betsy!
And that's the first thing he said. He's like, "Look, I want to at least get credit for the fact that I'm coming on in an Alabama show defending the article."
We gave him credit multiple times over, but we got a lot of feedback. Like, what in the hell is wrong with this guy?
Oh, he got one of them special donuts.
I don't know, something. Maybe with some PCP in it.
All right. Texas A&M is shopping right now.
They're shopping for a basketball coach, man.
They are shopping. I guess you could say they're trying to shop at Neiman Marcus or Saks Fifth Avenue.
Hey, I got a message from one of my national basketball friends last night. He made it to San Antonio, had some dinner, and at the table with him was John Calipari and Dirtneck. We all know who Dirtneck is, but he's got plenty of money, so I'm sure he can go to Final Fours and have dinner with highfalutin.
Well, it's in Texas. It's in San Antonio.
Yeah.
I mean,
guess Jimbo's a basketball fan.
He probably doesn't have to go too far.
Just riding horses on the Ponderosa.
All right. Hey, speaking of new coaches, don't forget the Alabama A&M coach is expected to be named later this afternoon. They're going to introduce him on Thursday.
Yeah, 4
today.
o'clock.
Yeah, so 4 o'clock. So that is today. So when we say A&M is getting a new coach, they are getting a new coach. Alabama A&M is getting one. When we come back, Texas A&M is looking for one. Where are they going to go shopping at? We'll fill you in.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. We'll keep high temperatures in the forecast in the mid-80s for this afternoon. We'll start the day off mostly cloudy, gradually becoming partly sunny by the afternoon. Wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour going to be a possibility. We'll stay quiet heading into Thursday night. Low temperatures falling into the upper 60s. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a new wreck at Moores Mill and Winchester. That one reported with injury and possible entrapment. They just canceled rescue on it. They got major blockage there. Got 565 eastbound at Greenbrier reported as a no injury. Got Oakwood and Canterbury Circle also reported as a no injury. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo will be at the Von Braun Center April 4th, 5th, and 6th in conjunction with the MLF Red Crest Championship on Lake Gunnersville. The Outdoor Expo will be open from 11 to 6:30 daily, and the first 200 kids 14 and under on Saturday will receive a free Abu Garcia rod and reel, courtesy of WHNT News 19. There will be hourly giveaways, tackle and boat deals, seminars, and a chance to meet the pros. And it's free of charge. The Bass Pro Shops Red Crest Championship Outdoor Expo, April 4th through 6th at the BBC.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. March Madness is here, and it's time to hoop it up at Baumhauer's Victory Grill with our Slam Dunk specials. It's nothing but net with a pound of our world-famous wings. Tip it off with our party-ready trays, including traditional wings, buttermilk fried chicken tenders, and hot lips, to name a few. Want a cold beer with those wings? How about $7.99 pitchers of Yingling served all day? 7 days a week. Break out those brackets and bring the gang to the best watch party place in town. Baumhauer's Victory Grill, the true king of wings.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Feeling this one?
This is old school.
It is.
Woo, woo. Yeah.
Texas A&M. They've got the big old shopping cart out, and they are trying to find something to fill it with, and that would be a men's head basketball coach. Buzz Williams departs for Maryland. All reports had them going after Chris Beard, and I guess you could say they airballed that one. Didn't get it.
Well, that the first choice didn't work out, but
right.
I mean, but look, I think we all think Mike Elko is setting himself up to succeed, and he wasn't the first choice.
Right.
And sometimes it's just the right choice, and so
right.
We're going to talk some Texas A&M Aggies and this basketball coaching search that honestly, a month ago, I wouldn't have thought it was even going to happen. I thought Buzz was doing well there. He was a good fit. He's a Texas guy. He's a former Texas A&M assistant who had come back home. I remember hearing that he was their top choice when they hired him away from Virginia Tech 6 years ago. So I was a little surprised to see him depart, but we're going to talk to our next guest. He's been with us on several occasions. He does a great job for Gig'em 247, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and that is Andrew Hattersley. He's been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Andrew, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott in Huntsville. How are you?
Morning, guys. How's it going? Yeah, I saw caught the end of your guys' segment with Brad, and certainly been an interesting couple of days around Texas A&M, around Ole Miss, and Chris Beard. Certainly, it hurts that, but that was probably the guy that A&M had circled right at the top of their kind of wish list, and they certainly made a good run at him.
Well, and they've made runs before. I mean, I know it didn't work out long term, but they hired Jimbo Fisher away from Florida State for big money. They got Jim Schlossnagle, away from a really good TCU program to come over there. So they do have money, and they're still swinging. Like I said before you came on during our last segment, they're still swinging. They could come out. I mean, Trev Alberts still early in his tenure as AD. Maybe he's got a wild card to play here. But I wanted to talk first, though. What was the feel about Buzz? When did it start to leak out that this might be his last year in College Station? Because I really did think he did a great job there, and they were very tough to compete and play against.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's played out over the last couple of weeks, and I think it's his name has kind of been bubbling below the surface on jobs for the last couple of years, honestly, and something we've kind of kept an eye on when the Texas Tech job came open a couple of years ago.
Right.
Buzz was a name we started to hear with that job. We started to hear it a little bit last year with Arkansas, with Oklahoma State. And so he's always kind of been, I don't think anything ever really got to the point, though, that obviously it did with Maryland. And so, you come into this year and A&M was in kind of go for it mode, right? Like they had 8 seniors on the roster, led by Wade Taylor, obviously Manny Obaseki. They went out and got, some guys in the portal like Pharrell Payne, DJ Wilcher. And so I think there was really a feeling around the program that this was the year that with this sort of roster, to get to the second week of the NCAA tournament, the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. And when they didn't, there was kind of, I think a genuine disappointment around the program that they weren't able to kind of take that next hump, because I think they really felt like they could with Buzz Williams. I think they felt like if there was a year that they were going to make an Elite Eight run or Sweet 16 run, this was going to be the year with this roster. And so when it didn't kind of work out over the last week, we started to hear that, potentially Buzz Williams would be looking at other jobs. His name had been circulated for the Indiana job. And, when Kevin Willard decided to go to Villanova, as Kevin Willard, as all that started to transpire, we heard Buzz Williams had significant interest in the Maryland job. And that from an A&M standpoint, they kind of I think it's fair to say maybe like a mutual parting of ways, but they were okay if he took that job, because I think in the back of their mind, they kind of thought, okay, we can pivot it and make a run at a guy like Chris Beard. And, maybe this is a good step for both parties if A&M is able to go out and land a big name and Buzz can get a fresh start, because the roster next year is almost a complete rebuild at this point. I mean, Solomon Washington is the only player that's eligible to return that has not entered the transfer portal that was a significant contributor from last year. So the roster has kind of been, pared down to scratch, and that's going to be the big challenge for whoever the next head coach is. And I think A&M and Buzz kind of looked at it and thought this was kind of the time that, to go their separate ways. And from an A&M standpoint, they were not going to hand out another contract extension to Buzz, especially after he did not get to the Sweet 16. And, with 3 years left on his contract, I think Buzz kind of looked at it as well and thought this might be his best chance to go somewhere else as well.
So if Buzz had, if they had gotten to the Sweet 16, would Texas A&M had given him a contract extension, or was this one of those things where both parties had just kind of worn out their welcome with each other and this was just inevitable?
Yeah, I think probably the latter. I think it had probably gotten to a point where it kind of had a feeling over the last couple of weeks. Now, if we're talking Elite Eight, Final Four type of thing, I think the conversation certainly changes. But I think over the last couple of weeks, there was a feeling like, hey, this is going to be something to watch after the year that, I think the other thing to point out, and this is certainly a fair point, is Buzz was on his third athletic director now at Texas A&M. Obviously started under Scott Woodward, then went to Ross Bjork, then went to Trev Alberts, and was also on his third university president. And so I think from Buzz's standpoint, it was kind of hard to also, there'd been a lot of change during his time at Texas A&M. And I think there was kind of that feeling that unless they made a really, really deep run, I don't necessarily think that A&M was gonna hand over another contract extension. I don't think things ever really got to that point.
What's the NIL? We think of Texas A&M with big big pockets. What's that NIL situation surrounding basketball?
I think for the right candidate, and our colleague Jeff Tarpley wrote a good story on this yesterday, that I think for the right hire, the NIL money would have started to come in. I don't think it's necessarily at the top of the league. I'd say probably middle of the league. And when you look at Buzz, I don't know how much Buzz necessarily I think he's kind of grappled with this new kind of era of college basketball with rev sharing and NIL, and I think that's something that is not necessarily something I think he's kind of trying to find his way on how to do it. And so I think there was a feeling if somebody like a Chris Beard, right, if that sort of hire was able to be made, I think the NIL dollars would have, and this was a conversation I actually had with one of my colleagues yesterday, that a hire that would truly get fans excited, I think the NIL money on the basketball side would have exploded, to be honest. And I think it can still happen, depending on who the hire is.
Well, and we're talking to Andrew Hattersley, Gig'em 247, and people forget. I'm going back through the history of A&M basketball.
Yeah.
Billy Gillespie had a great 3-year run before going to Kentucky, and that was probably the wrong move for him. But he really resuscitated the program after the 6 years of struggle under Melvin Watkins, and then Mark Turgeon. Ironically, he left for Maryland, but he did a great job there. They both. Yeah. He and Gillespie and Turgeon won over 70% of their games. Billy Kennedy was solid. He was there for 8 years, and then Buzz comes in. So there's been the last 15 years or so, there's been a lot of success, at times at A&M. So the job is more attractive. Now, I guess the segue for you, Andrew, and with Jeff Tarpley's piece is now that Beard is off the board, where does A&M pivot?
Yeah, and I think to your point, I think Buzz did build a very solid. I think you guys are 100% right. I think he's left us in a solid, in a solid spot moving forward. I think as you start to pivot to some other names, Alan Huss is a name that I think has been talked about a lot over the last couple of weeks. A guy that was a former assistant under Greg McDermott at Creighton, and so kind of has that high major, assistant experience under a very solid head coach. You look at, they could go the former assistant route with some head coaches and look at Porter Moser. They could look at Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. They could look at either of those two. And then obviously the hot name right now is Luke Murray at UConn. I know
his father's kind of famous. That would be, he would look good in some maroon.
Oh, he absolutely would. Obviously, the son of Bill Murray, and he's a name I think a lot of fans would certainly be excited about. He doesn't come with the proven head coach background, and so it depends what route they wanted to go. And then obviously the other name that makes sense to at least look at is Fred Hoiberg. Obviously, looking at Trev Alberts coming from Nebraska, I know there's a lot of folks who are very high on Fred Hoiberg's offensive acumen, and was talking to somebody on our network who said there's a lot of coaches around basketball who study what Fred Hoiberg does in terms of what he does from an offensive standpoint, because they find it very advanced and that he's ahead of the curve. And so that's a name that A&M could certainly look at. And Trev Alberts did not hire him, but obviously worked with him, so there's some familiarity there. And then, you've got some other names in the mix. They could, Chris Jans is a name that
I heard him yesterday.
Has been kind of bannered about, and I think he's done a nice job at Mississippi State. So I think there's some names. There's some opportunities to still go out there and make a pretty solid hire. Porter Moser was a really hot name a couple of years ago. I'm not sure he's had quite the success that Oklahoma that a lot of folks kind of envisioned he might. So that's one thing that they'll have to kind of weigh when looking at him. So there's a couple different avenues they could go. They could go a young route with an assistant coach, or potentially a guy like Alan Huss. That I think Alan Huss would be an exciting name for A&M fans.
Well, this is a huge hire for Trev Alberts, because Chris Del Conte was the one that hired Mike Elko. And so this is really Albert's, of the big sports, this is Albert's first big hire.
Yeah, Ross Bjork.
Ross Bjork, yeah. Del Conte's at Texas.
But I think, and the other thing that's kind of, floating around when you talk about this being a big hire for Trev Alberts is a lot of people just around A&M kind of look at what's happened with the baseball program this year, and going from, a national runner-up to hiring Mike Early, and that could pan out in the long run. But it's certainly been a rough year around the A&M baseball program, and a lot of disappointment about, there was so much excitement coming into the year, preseason number one, to now sitting at 1-8 in SEC play. There's a lot of disappointment. And so, Ross Bjork was the one who, like, you're correct. Ross Bjork was the one that made the Mike Elko hire. And so everybody's kind of looking at this basketball hire and saying, like, okay, Mike Early, maybe not off to a great start. This basketball hire is kind of pivotal for Trev Alberts to go out. And I think that's why a name like Chris Beard, they kind of started there to go get a proven winner and look at a name like that. And I think that's at least encouraging that they were looking to go at that lens because I think it would be a huge gamble to go with a second straight assistant to head coach move after Mike Early hasn't necessarily gotten off to the best start. And so I think that's something he certainly got away as well.
Yeah. So, and then as you're talking with Jeff Tarpley and your colleagues there, Carter Carrolls, how quickly do you think that A&M is going to move on this I know there's a dead period this week, but with the transfer portal going to crank back up, certainly this new coach is going to have to come in and rebuild this roster quickly.
100%. I think by the end of the week, they need to have a hire in place. There's a dead period that goes into effect from now, I believe, until April 10th.
Yes.
But when you look at, a new head coach, I think you'd ideally want to have them on the ground starting next week, and then be able to kind of, be able to start reaching out to guys to get guys in for visits next weekend, because essentially you've got an entire roster to replace. And so I don't think they can afford to kind of wait around. I think they've got to move quickly. And I think by the end of the week, they've got to probably have a hire in place to get a guy in that's going to be able to start kind of hitting the transfer portal. They've got 3 signees that, are probably kind of sitting in limbo right now, waiting to see what they're going to do with the hire. Obviously, Pharrell Payne entering the portal yesterday was a tough blow. He was obviously a piece that was going to be big for whoever the new head coach was going to be. Solomon Washington has not to this point, but I think it is important just given the roster turnover that's going to take place.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Andrew, you do a great job for Gig 'em 247. You're always very kind to us. Let everybody know how to follow this coaching search and your work and what's going on. A lot going on to Aggie baseball and, of course, spring football under Mike Elko.
No doubt. And we have a 75% off promo. So for those looking to jump on, now's the best time to go ahead and do that. Can get 75% off your first year of an annual subscription. You can follow us over at gigem247.com. That's kind of our hub. We've got a hot board list of coaches up right now and continuing to update that. And, Mike Elko and them are gearing up for a big visit weekend, and spring ball, as you mentioned, is rolling on. And you can find me over at Andrew Hatz and our Twitter account at gigem247. And always appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
Appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
All right, let's get that final break in.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck on the Parkway southbound at Bob Wade. Sounds like it's going to be a no injury. 565 eastbound at Greenbrier. Nobody's hurt. We do have injuries. Moores Mill and Winchester. That one had injury and reported entrapment. They canceled rescue on it. And we've got Oakwood and Canterbury Circle as a no injury. No hoses, no mask. Dr. Sandman has the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So what have we learned the most from today?
What have we learned about kolaches?
That Shipley's Donuts are really good. They have over 60 varieties, by the way.
Right.
60 varieties of donuts. You got the classic plain glaze to the golden sausage, the kolaches. I mean, they've got everything. So that's what we've learned the most from. That's what we can take away the most from for today.
Yep, we can. And the Jonai's got two brothers, Jahani
and Johnny.
And Johnny.
And if each of them can get 7 rebounds,
we've already said he could set a record.
He could set a record.
Jonai could set a record.
The triplets will have to do their work, though.
But on the Newhart show, didn't they have Daryl and
you know what?
This is my brother Daryl and my other brother Daryl?
Yes.
So
that's basically the brooms.
Okay.
So, but we know John.
You almost did it yourself.
I almost did it myself.
Jonai Broom.
Yes, we know he. Here's what we can tell you: he did not practice the last 2 days. Auburn left yesterday for San Antonio. They're expected to practice coming up here in a little bit inside the Alamo Dome. He is expected to practice this morning. Bruce Pearl said they were aiming for him to go through practice today. Now, whether or not he does, we'll have to wait and see. But the Tigers are expected to take to the floor to the Alamo Dome here in a little bit. And he is expected to go through practice.
Prayers to David Johnson, quick recovery, and recover as quickly as possible from the open heart surgery. And prayers to Brett Northworthy. I know his property and his home was hit with the tornado, but at least he's okay. Prayers up to those rebels.
All right, guys, back at it tomorrow.
1 in 3 adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.